Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday sprint session. So, as every Thursday, we are doing 2 hours of reading across 3 hours spent together here. So, we will be doing three sprints of 40 minutes with typically 20 minutes in between, but just like 10 at the very beginning and 10 at the very end. So, how are you all doing? Hope you guys have had a nice day so far and are totally in for some sprints now. I see Femke's here, so I guess that means you made it in time, that you have had your dinner. What were you having? I cooked yesterday because I was really debating because yesterday I didn't really feel like cooking, but then I was like, okay, if I don't cook now, I'll have to do it tomorrow together with sprints, which is not a great recipe. So I did it yesterday, which was a good thing as well because I made vol au vent and it took me like an hour. So hello, Raf. What are you reading today? Hi, the hi campers. Hello, Tufty. Hello. I am currently reading the Booker International long list. I've given myself 1 week, so I started like Tuesday evening. I started reading for it, and so I've given myself 1 week to just indulge in trying to read as many of the books on the Booker International long list, and then I'll go back to like the one obligation book that I put myself. Hello. I'm eating the last bits of my dinner. Boiled potatoes with cauliflower, a cream sauce with herbs, and a piece of beef. Nice. Just finished my audiobook. Nice. Starting a new one or a new book. Hello. Vol au vent. Yeah, mine was like a vegetarian version, but it was also very nice. I have been outside looking after my plants and sowing some melon and cucumber seeds before I ran out of light. Nice. Hello, we'll eat dinner soon. After that, a reading hard mode. I have 70 pages left. Nice. From the climate book, right? Nice. You will be done with that. I'm reading The Trees by Percival Everett. Nice. Hello, I will be reading The Great Hunt, continuing The City of Last Chances. I'm waiting for my ordered food, forgot to eat, and when I realized the store had closed. I mean, it's the perfect situation for takeouts. It's like, cannot even say that you are like you're too lazy to cook because it's like, yeah, I just was too late to get anything to cook. Rushed back in thinking I was late, but I didn't have enough time to sort some dinner out, so my first spring will be cooking dinner. Nice. Yeah, I am reading Standing Heavy by Gauss. This is a book that is from a, if how do you say it in English? I'm not going to try to make this an adjective. The author is from Ivory Coast, and it is translated from the French. And I will say that I don't really know the synopsis too well because I feel like it's following multiple people, and I'm like only on chapter 3. And so chapter 3 was like, this is not a person that I've been reading from before, right? But I did really like it because like the second chapter was a chapter fully told as if it's like a dictionary entry. And so the guy who we were following is like, he works in a clothing store as a security guard. And so in that dictionary entry, basically he's giving all of these terminology that kind of explain the people who visit this type of store, the behavior of these type of people, the everything that you need to understand his situation in life. And I really enjoyed that way of telling it. Rushed back in thinking I was late, but I didn't have enough time to sort some dinner. I already read that. The climate book. While I do love it, I can't wait to be done. But sometimes it is like that, especially when, you've invested quite a lot of time and focus into it, and you're just like, I'll be so happy when like this is done. I'll be reading Wrath by John Gwynne and Layla and the Blue Fox by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Hoping to finish both, but realistically we'll only finish the latter. I didn't, I mean, I know the author of the latter, but I don't know that title by her. I've just 25% left of my sci-fi book that I have been ripping through this week, so I will definitely be finishing that this evening. Yes, way, for sure. It's nice to see that you have something fast going on now after the very slow progress that was Royal Assassin. I'm reading Stories About Stories, Fantasy and the Remaking of Myth by Brian Attebury. I'm going to say that that's pronunciation, but I'm really not sure. Hello. Where I live, we don't have McDonald's, Burger King, or Subway. The only takeout option is the mediocre pizza place. Yeah, I live in the center of a pretty decent sized city in Belgium, and it is a student city as well. So there's a lot of options for me here. Then I need to get started on Assassin's Quest if I want to finish it in March because it is chunky. Yes. Well, it is pizza here too. Nice. Pizza is great. If that's the only option, it's still an amazing option to have. I, on my side, decided right before sprints that I wanted to like rewatch some clips from the movie The Impossible, which is one of my sort of like go-to cry movies. I don't know whether you guys have a cry movie, but I quite regularly feel like rewatching certain clips from movies that have made me cry. And when I'm in that type of mood, one of the clips that I always watch is the ending to The Impossible. And so for some reason, I apparently was in the mood to rewatch that clip now. So I was like 10 minutes ago, I was still like full out crying here on the sofa. So if you see me being like, what? then that's why I look this way. But I don't think you can really tell. But I'll put Nick to bed and I'll continue the Blade itself or start another book. Not sure yet. What are you reading? For me, I am reading Standing Heavy by Gauss, which is a book for the International Booker Prize. And yeah, it's a literary fiction, I guess, will be the genre for it. Very early days, so I don't actually know. I have heard the premise at some point, but I've forgotten it. I adored Royal Assassin, so I was very happy with my pace. I was absorbed throughout, but this new sci-fi book is so easy to read. That's like the perfect thing when you have like a slow and steady long book and then you can kind of recover or like, re-energize with a fast read in between. I have no idea how I can possibly fit in the Bone Shard Daughter for the Howling Pack book club. How are others getting on with that one so far? I'm kind of hoping the live show is later in April. I have not started that one yet. I don't know whether I will. I kind of removed some of my obligations for this month, so the only one that I'm keeping for myself as an obligation is Kushiel's Chosen. But I do still hope to potentially try to do it, but I don't think it's realistic to still fit it into my March. God Killer for of Queens, Witches, and Valkyries book club is another option. Also something that I might still want to fit into this month. Something else I might still want to fit in is the new S.A. Chakraborty, but I think something has got to give, and probably the only thing that is really going to happen is Kushiel's Chosen. My girl, yeah. That is definitely also the case. There are lots of tears in Baby's Home of late. Yeah, movies, they get me. So do I try to finish my arc or read some romance? Depends. Have you already started the arc and like or like are you close to finishing it? Because if you're close to finishing it, then might as well like finish it now and just have that satisfaction of feeling fully done before you start something new. But otherwise, just start something nice and breezy. I also need to start the Bone Shard Daughter. Oh yes, I needed to reset my reading equilibrium and was absolutely desperate to squeeze a sci-fi book into my rota. I've been reading so much fantasy of late. I've got to adjust that balance, definitely. Hello, I am Bloke. I vote for finishing the arc. I've started both books. Okay, I think I have like 30% left. Not sure how many pages that is. I would also vote for finishing it, or maybe like reading that one for the first sprint, and then you can kind of still see like if you're not really in the mood for it, then maybe switch to the other book at that for the last two sprints, so that you still make some progress in the arc, but then you can still switch to something lighter after if you feel the need. God Killer is pretty short. I was doubting buying it, but I chose City of Last Chances. I had a one book limit for myself. Yeah, it is pretty short, but still, like considering the thickness of Kushiel's Chosen, I'm not sure I can fit it in. The sci-fi book has a male perspective written by a lady, and I confess I feel really awkward at some of the bits. Okay, interesting. But I see that it is about time to go into our first sprint, so that was very loud. I need to adjust my volume of my laptop, I guess. Think it should be better now, but let's go. See you in 40. And we're back. I am close to the midway point of my book, but my book is also like really short, 155 pages or something like that. But I'm also, once again, flagging, so falling asleep. So I do need to make myself a coffee in the next sprints. Where were we? Right, so I need to reread that one for the comment below it. This sci-fi book has a male perspective written by a lady, and I confess I feel really awkward at some of the bits. Literally, bits in showers. I don't know whether it's the same, but sometimes I guess it's like the awkwardness of male writers writing about breasts. Finish putting the dishes in the dishwasher right on time for sprints to start. Perfect. Happy reading, everyone. Indeed. Hope you guys had a productive reading session. Dinner time. Hey everyone, joined late. Hello. But hope we'll have lovely sprints. Don't think I will do any reading though. Fine. What are you going to be doing instead? Likewise. What are you doing instead? I mean, indeed, you don't need to share, of course. Hello, I too am late. Hey Jess. And probably won't be reading because the three people are back next door. I think I missed something in one of the previous sprints. Who are the three people? People who are what cutting down a tree, or yes. After having some dinner, I had but 10 minutes of the first sprints, but I did manage to read, sort of. Last night I ended mid chapter and had to rewind a page or two to reset myself. Yeah, that sometimes happens when you end up middle of a chapter. Blimey, I'd forgotten to turn down the volume after rocking out to some tunes a moment ago. Okay. I hope your heart rate will settle soon. Read a large part of chapter 4 of 8 in this book about the connection between myth and fantasy. I got to 37% of my book. Percival Everett is starting to become one of my favorite authors. Yeah, I haven't read anything by him yet, and I actually only found out about him with the was it the Booker? He was nominated for the Booker, right? Last year, I think so. That's for exactly that book, but I haven't read it yet or any other Percival Everett. Does he have like? I mean, what is it about him that you like? Like his writing style, the type of stories that he tells? I am now 9% away from the end of my arc, the immeasurable depth of you. Depth. I always try to pronounce this th correctly, but I cannot. So I guess I'm gonna finish it. Nice, indeed. Had dinner, read 6 pages, only 64 to go. You can do it. Maybe not tonight, but it will happen. I read 63 pages of Wrath, currently on page 315, 45% in now. Yes, indeed, that's what I was referring to. Blokes talking of boobs, and in this case, it was due to getting a shower boner. Nice. I showered and read 7 pages. Definitely the opposite of boobing boob, boobing boobily in books. I hope there's a bunch of ants holding their counsel next door. Exactly. Do you watch One Topic? Don't know. I don't watch that in any case. Next door recently took down a whole ass tree and now they're here to clean up. I imagine soon they'll be knocking down the house and building a new monstrosity. Alright, nice. I read 15 pages of City of Last Chances, really liking it so far, 50 pages in. Yeah, as I said on the Yolene's server, it is one that I definitely want to get to. I got it for Christmas, but yeah, it's gonna wait a while. I'm focused mainly now on reducing the July backlog. But actually, most of the books that I currently have on my TBR, so I currently have 16 books on there, and the majority of those are July books. I think 6 of them or so, maybe even 7 are July books. So once I get through those, I'll get through the rest in no time. Here's a scenario for you. Let's say you work from home and receive, I don't work from home anymore, but okay, and receive instructions to update your computer. This will take a while. Do you do it during work hours or leave it until the evening? A lot of times when we have to do like updates, we just let the update run during lunchtime. I really like his writing style. Okay, this book is funny as heck. Ah, okay. I mean, I really didn't know what the book is about, but so I had kind of more of the impression that it was probably going to be certain sort of like highbrow literature. I know that it's a name that's much more popular in the U.S. than apparently overseas, and as I said, I had never heard about him before that. This book is funny as heck, and at the same time, it's a murder mystery based on the horrible lynch murder of Emmett Till. Now, I will have said that I don't like murder mysteries, so that doesn't really appeal to me. But he has more books, so I can always check out something else to see if I like his writing style, and then maybe at some point I can get to this book. But that actually makes me wonder, Till, because I don't know Emmett Till, but there was also a movie called Till that came out this year. I wonder whether they're linked. Chainsaw noises are horrific. I'm often left wondering if what they're working on will impact me somehow. Debris, privacy removal, etc. Team Chainsaw. But I really hate having people working on my own home. The banging of hammers and noise of drills is so stress inducing. I hate it so much. Yeah, like the building next door, they were building that mainly throughout the entire COVID period. So they started end of 2019 with the construction of that. And then, of course, March 2020 is when we went into lockdown. And then when we went into lockdown, they were constantly like drilling, and the underneath our building was a garage. It's connected to our garage because at some point they were going to become one. But I feel that partly because of that, it was just like as if the entire building was drilling along with their drills. So I basically during lockdown quickly went back to work. We had a note that said that we could go back to work, back to the office. And I actually quickly did that because I was like, there's no way that I can stay in that building all week long while they're drilling, because at the end of the evening, I'm the first floor above the garage, and at the end of the evening my ears were still ringing from the drill. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. They are linked, the movie and Emma Till, I assume. We have X's and leaf blowers today. I'm just enjoying having my blinds open while I still can. This sci-fi book I'm reading has me so hooked that I've already ordered the next 4 books in the series. Will I just continue on reading the next book after I finish this one? I think you will feel too obliged to continue on with Realm of the Elderlings, and you will just go into Assassin's Quest. But hopefully that just means that you can go into another one of these right after Assassin's Quest. Emmett Till is a famous lynching because his mother allowed the public to see and photograph his body afterwards. Team X. Emmett Till was 14 years old when he was murdered in the 50s. A white woman accused him of groping her, and he was killed in an awful way. Percival Everett shows racism with very black humor. Okay, yeah. Tough subject, yeah. What are you reading? Indeed. Oh my god, that sounds truly dreadful. It's very quiet here, so when the local tree surgeon is in the area, I can hear him whistling while he works. Yeah, I live in the center of a city, so I definitely have some level of noise all the time, though this building is very well insulated, so typically it's not like I really notice a lot of that noise, though of course a lot of it also just I don't pay attention to anymore. What noise I do have of cars, for example, is just something that I don't really register anymore. It's just like white noise at this point in time. But definitely at that point in time, there was no white noise, even though at some to some extent a lot of that drilling noise after a while you kind of get used to it. But that was like when we got to like a later stage of the construction, because in those early days when they were really like heavily drilling, there was no white noise level, but like later on when it's just like banging and stuff like that, it became a little bit more okay to deal with. Fluency by Jennifer Finner Wells. It's straightforward sci-fi but touches xenoarchaeology and first contact. Get your motion trackers out. I don't know what xenoarchaeology means. Xenoarchaeology. Some sort of archaeology of the other? That's what xeno means, right? Buffy is so peaceful today. Yeah, she missed me. Mm, yes. Gardeners need to whistle so you know when they are listening below your below your window when a wizard is telling you about your inherited jewelry. Yes. If you don't like murder mysteries, you could try Telephone by him. Completely different is the story of a father whose young daughter is dying. Not so cheery, but I don't mind. I can read anything. I don't think I have many triggers neither, so I will definitely keep it in mind. Telephone. Okay. I'll add it to my one to read. I heard my first neighborhood lawn mower roaring into action today. Good time to do it as the weather is warming up. Yeah, today was one of those days where, like, in the morning, you'd think it's just like any of the previous weeks, like really, really cold. And then, like, at lunchtime when we were going to our cafeteria, it was like woof, super warm. Why have I put a scarf on? Why am I in my thick winter jacket? Xeno in sci fi cases means alien. Ah, okay. I live in a small village and still every day someone is mowing or moving or mowing their grass or blowing leaves. I'm used to all the noises. Xenoarchaeology is the exploration of strange alien ruins or constructions, like empty interstellar starships. Give this to me. I love this kind of thing so much. I don't know whether have had much encounters of that. Like, I guess in Starsight, no, not Starsight, is Skyward. Yeah, Starsight is second. Um, there's something like that. And then I guess we can kind of refer to, what is it called? The Area X in who is it? Vandermeer's work might also fall in line with that. Xenoarchaeology is the discipline of digging up alien artifacts, grave robbing in space. The tricky thing is there are 3 editions of telephones with slightly different endings and different scenes, but when you order, you don't know which one you'll get. Okay, that is interesting. I like those types of things. Have you read Revelation Space by Alistair Reynolds? I know that name of that author at least. Hope you enjoyed the day, Cleo. I heard it's going to be raining the next couple of days. Okay. Like Tuesday was a horrible day. Tuesday it was raining like crazy all day long, but I was quite happy because right before I had to leave for work, that's kind of when it stopped raining, which was a good thing because on Tuesdays I have to go to physical therapy. And so I was like, oh no, like the day in which I have to do the most walking, in which going back from work isn't just like stopping at the bus stop and getting back to my house, but it's stopping at a bus stop, going to the physical therapist, coming back from there, taking another bus, walking from the bus home. That's the day in which it's going to be raining that much. But luckily, in the evening, there was nothing. I wasn't expecting to have to take my chili and tomato plants outside today, but the sun popped out and boom, the greenhouse got really, really warm. I put Nick to bed and we read a picture book about a cute dog together. Nice. Oh yeah, I have been reading and collecting Reynolds for decades. He has a dedicated shelf in my library. I was gonna say, and have you also been reading them? But you said reading and collecting. Team Reynolds, that just makes me think of Team Ryan Reynolds, basically, if you put it like that. And that's my reminder to read the Reynolds I have sitting on my Kindle. I don't have any Reynolds. Which one? I want to do a complete reread of Reynolds, but there are so many books, it's quite the undertaking. What famous series is this guy? Because it's not like the tries to pretend that I know any sci-fi series. There's like one that I have in mind, but I don't even remember what the title is of the first book. So it's probably not that one either. No, because that's like the Expanse series, and that's somebody else, right? Is that this James Corey guy or something like that? Um, I've read all of his novels and love them all. Oh yes, I was reading Reynolds when I was only buying a few books every year, when you were still up to date. Right now, just Revenger and Eversion. Ah, okay, okay, okay. Eversion does ring a bell. Nowadays, obviously, I have veered in the many, many, many halls edition direction. Expanse is James Corey. Okay, who is in fact two people. Okay. Revelation Space is probably one is the oh, is probably the one you're thinking of. Inhibitors doesn't ring any bell, and somebody just walked past here super loudly, singing like la 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 la. I once had somebody serenade the person who was sitting above me on her balcony. It was very awkward. First of all, because it was unclear whether he was serenading me or her. And secondly, because we were giving him zero attention and he was singing some sort of a rock song super loudly to us. And it was like, let's try not to give any sort of a reaction in the hope that he will just go away. Eversion made me ow, don't. Eversion made me cry. One of my favorite books last year's. I had to squeeze a final Expanse book into my reading months. No idea when, but it needs to be soon. Why does it need to be soon? I have a good feeling about Reynolds, which also means I want to immediately read everything he's written. I read a short thing by him once. Permafrost, maybe? Is this too Buffy all of a sudden deciding she had enough and buying me? How did you figure out who he was serenading? Were you looking at each other and communicating silently? No, because I couldn't see her, but afterwards she said like, this guy was serenading me," and I was like, I thought he was serenading me. Revenger is teenage girl space pirates and xenoarchaeology. Oh, he did go away, luckily. It needs to be soon because I want to read it so much. Okay, had to wait for the paperback. Yeah, 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 definitely. Permafrost is the time travel short. I thought you said she was being so peaceful today. Peace and quiet is over. Buffy is choosing violence now. Yeah, that's the one. Love me some time travel. Haha. I've only read the first in that Revenger series, partly because it's a YA. Nice. Are you gonna be nice? She's like, the tail is swishing pretty incessantly, so we are in the danger zone when it comes to the cat. I jinxed the floof. You absolutely jinxed the floof. It's not that YA, it gets pretty dark. Okay. Peace was never an option. That is kind of Buffy's life motto, to be fair. She is a little bit of an insurrectionist. Is that how you say it? My cat is looking around to search for the cat that is meowing. Yeah, Fate also has that very much. When there's a cat on TV, then she's also like, where is it? Where is it? Or not actually, not where. She is very zoned in on the TV. She immediately like zooms in on the screen. Okay, maybe I'll start with Evergent then, because a YA sci-fi doesn't always work for me. Yeah. Ow. Any hint of YA tends to make me proceed with caution. I do like me some coming of age, so the rule is flexible. Yes. Rebel with the paws. Hello! Has anyone checked out season 2 of Shadow and Bone yet? My boyfriend only wants to watch one episode a day, and I just want more. I haven't watched yet. I don't know whether I'll like immediately jump into it. I don't currently feel the need to watch it, but potentially that will just like change from one moment to the next, and I'll just like binge it at that point in time. Inversion is very unique and a cool love letter to the whole history of sci-fi. But I think I'm still waiting on the Eversion paperback. I just want stuff in space. It would be best if no one falls in love, though. Ew, love stories. I'm a TV show binger. I like to have lots of episodes available to me, and then I never get around to watching any of it. I'm not really a binger, but actually binging probably works best for me because I quickly lose like interest if I just go slow at it. Whereas I then also find it sad that we no longer have like, or that we don't often have those cases anymore where you only have one episode a week. And so you're like waiting on the edge of your seat for the next episode. Because I feel like we lost some magic with that, with those good old days when you had to wait a whole week for a new episode of Buffy, for example. But on that note, I'm going to make myself some. See you guys in 40. Happy reading. Hello. I am some 64% in now, so going through it, quick pace. But yeah, as I said, it's only 155 pages, so I'm trying to find back where I was here, I think. I think so, yeah. So I have watched an episode and a half. We'll watch the rest in the weekend. Nice. How many episodes is the second season? Mine hasn't figured out where the sound comes from. He's at the window now looking for Buffy. I mean, it's a logical conclusion. 3 books into Revenger, no one has fallen in love yet. You definitely want to avoid this fluency book that I'm reading at the moment. It's got that, which gives me pause, I must confess. Get back to the tech exploration or problems. Same, I like my stories without romantic love. Thank you very much. I'm a binger with a few exceptions, like Picard and Mando, and I'm back to being interested. I remember when Buffy and Angel were on terrestrial TV and I had to watch them as they aired at a set time of the week. 8 p.m. Thursday springs to mind. I prefer to binge, but I don't have that time. Yeah, there's just something that, it's that nostalgia for old times, I guess, that makes me kind of go like, oh, those were the days when, you could just like fully digest an entire episode before diving into the next one, and they wouldn't like blend into one. Yes, lol. I'm here for the sci-fi and gadgets and aliens and space battles. We don't have time for romance, lol. Focus, damn it. It gets so distracting. Can't we all just love? Wait. Can't we all just love our friend group and go on quests or something? I missed a lot of episodes that way. As soon as the DVDs were available, I binge watched the whole series. I did love that we got one House of the Dragon episode a week. Makes you look forward to it. Yeah, I assume that we videotaped them when they were on at times in which we couldn't see. Or maybe we did miss some. I don't know. Me and my sister used to watch Buffy every week together. But I also watched like all of Charmed. So I guess we were videotaping them. Must have been. Very much the same. Fluency has guy perspectives on the ladies, and he never quite gives it up for the long voyage to the starship out in space. Then they dance around a lot. Okay. I have bad form for waiting for a show to finish airing an episode a week, thinking I'll binge it when it's all out, but by then, 10 weeks later or whatever, I've lost interest and it sits on my DVR. I've been listening to the album and I'm currently playing for decades. The lyrics just float back into my head as soon as the song starts. Reading is harder when one is singing along loudly and badly. Like, to come back to your previous comments, I think it helps me when it's like when it used to be the case that you taped it and you only had a few amounts of tape, so if you didn't watch it in time you wouldn't be able to tape anything else, or you would have to tape over it. Whereas now, because everything is available always, it means that I'm still only on season 2 of Stranger Things because there's just like no hurry to it anymore. Hello, hey Daniela. Every day I'm like, is it Thursday yet? And then I had rare social plans. Glad I caught it. Glad you're here. This is very sweet of you to say. Computer update. I started to update it around 3 p.m. my time. It's now 7:30 p.m. and the computer currently says it's 90% done. I thoroughly detest updating hardware. I hope it'll be done soon. Will it work when I turn it on tomorrow? Who knows? 9 pages, 55 to go. Starting to feel like I can't finish in time. Like, it's tomorrow, right? Yeah. I forgot to reduce my volume again, rocking out to the tunes over here. I finished my arc, nice going, and even did my dishes. I feel accomplished now. Yeah, over the weekend I listened to quite a bit of an audiobook, and then I got so many things done. Then I was like doing loads of laundry after a load of laundry, like cleaning the floors, doing a little bit of like putting stuff in the right place and stuff like that, redoing the beds. Read 44 pages and I dozed off for a minute. Read 16 pages of the last Quentista. Nice. I just got to a point in Fluency where the bloke is comparing surfing with drugs and with Rumpy Pumpy, if you know what I mean. They're exploring an interstellar starship, folks. Not back. Nice. Moved on to chapter 5 about the issues connected to fantasy authors appropriating myths of still living cultures. Lots of thoughts about ownership and colonialism. Yeah, that's what I'm enjoying about the book that I'm currently reading. It just had this whole section about um, you know, African fashion and how it was like the role of white people in that, and about this sort of idea of changing, like this woman then was like, yeah, I don't wear African fashion because it is a tool of the colonizer, and then saying about how like education in Africa is kind of like the biggest success of the colonial period um, because African teachers are still perpetuating the type of education that they have gotten from the colonizers, and so it still perpetuates that type of that colonial narrative, that type of viewpoint where there's a hierarchy between the races. And so it was just some interesting points that it was bringing up. It was from a perspective from the 90s, so it'll be interesting to see when we get to a perspective of like a more modern perspective, whether there will be some differences to be noted there about these types of topics, but I'm not entirely sure it will come back to these topics because it's quite meandering. I missed everything up until this point, but just started watching the first Shadow and Bone episode. Nice! Videotape, that's a retro blast from the past. Charmed, I remember that. This week, I don't know whether this says something about my brain, I guess. But this week I was watching, I don't know, Netflix or Disney. I don't even remember where it was on. And I was looking for something, and I don't even remember what it was that I was looking for. But one of the suggestions that came up instead was My Little Pony, and then I was like, My Little Pony. I want to rewatch the My Little Pony movie that I saw when I was a child, but it only has the sort of like ugly animated versions from the 2000s. So I need to go on YouTube, I guess, to find the old My Little Pony movie that I loved and adored when I was a child. Charmed had Alyssa Milano amongst the cast. Yes, she was my favorite. I love Charmed. Definitely used to tape that. Yes, tape. I feel so old. I do have them all on DVD as well now. I mean, I have Buffy, I have Charmed, Dark Angel. I also have on DVD, and then Gilmore Girls. And Charmed is actually one that I've watched a few times because Charmed I fully watched in Spanish to when I was studying Spanish as well. Everything is available all of the time, all at once. Yes, everything everywhere all at once. I have some experiences, but how are surfing and drugs comparable? I mean, they go great together, but same. I'm also on season 2 of Stranger Things for the same reason. Yeah, to some. I mean, I finished season 2, so I don't. Last year, maybe or something, I was like, you know what? Let's me finally continue with Stranger Things, and then I watched the entire second season, in relatively short period. Not really binging, but like maybe watching it over the course of like a few weeks or so. Um, but then I finished season 2, and that's where we are now. It's been probably more than a year already, and I haven't continued past that. And when it comes to Moon Knight on Disney, I watched the first 2, 3 maybe episodes, and I'm also stuck there. So there's just no urgency to it, which just makes me procrastinate. Surfing was like a drug. Nope, not a drug. It was like sex. That's a direct quote. Get back to the first contact scenario, please. All right. I'll now switch to the 6th season because I'm part of Nell Diamond's buddy read. Oh, I don't know Nell Diamond, but the 5th season is a really great book. Is it a reread, or have you like? Is it your first time reading it? It's a lovely experience. The life is tomorrow, so I can read tomorrow a bit if I don't go to office, which I should. So I'm screwed. Maybe like, or you need to drive to work, maybe, so you probably cannot do it on your commute. In the last few minutes before we came back, like here, I popped into a live stream about Jade War. They were talking about a scene I remember vividly, so only a few words were required to synchronize. Nice. Also, the guy is wrong. Surfing, drugs, and sex are not the same. Trust me on this. Limited experience here. You never surfed? Nope. I also videotaped every Buffy, Angel, and Charmed episodes I couldn't watch. It is fun. Don't do it. Leave the memory where it belongs and don't spoil it. I don't remember what this is probably going to be about it. About the My Little Pony movie? I don't know. I kind of want to. Now I also own the DVD boxes. Dark Angel. Yeah, I'm still sad about the Dark Angel series and how that ended. Like we deserved a better ending. I'm sort of delighted that we're all old enough to remember videotapes. I used to tape Star Trek, Babylon 5, and Quantum Leap, and there were never enough tapes. Dark Angel was fun. What was her name? Jessica Alba. Can't remember. Jessica Alba. Yes. Yes. I'm also somewhere in season 2 with Stranger Things. First time reading, I've wanted to read it forever. Nice. Enjoy. Same, I have so many Disney Plus shows to catch up on at some point. Silo is coming to Apple Plus, so I may need to resub to that imminently. Don't even know that. I was going to re up my streaming subscription over Christmas and binge lots, but I simply didn't do any of that at all. I'm so massively behind, I don't know how I'll catch up. To some extent, there is no need for catching up to, like, what's the worst that will happen if you don't see one of these shows? So at this point in time, like, there are a few things that I'm supposedly watching, but if I never get back to Stranger Things, then I never get back to it. I do want to what, and then maybe I should do that after the sprint, because at some point a few months ago I was watching some Spanish shows, and I should just get back to those because. Like, it's a great way to practice my Spanish. I've also been doing some podcasts. Like yesterday, when I was cooking, I didn't have an audiobook, so I listened to like a 1 hour talk about 1 hour travel podcast about a city called Jerez de la Frontera, which I will probably never visit in my life, but for some reason I now know random facts about it. I don't even remember how Dark Angel ended. You say you have a bad memory, but you clearly surpass mine. I have a really good memory of things that happened before a certain period of time. I feel like over the last few years, my memory just like sucks. You even recall Jessica Alba. I had to look it up. But I'm really good with actors' names. Like when we do quizzes and stuff like that, movie titles, actresses' names. Though that is my forte. That's where I shine. I also remember a series about a girl that came from the future, but I can't remember the name. A girl that came from the future. You also had, but that's not that old. That came from the future. No, I don't know that, I think. I mean, or I would need more information to know that. Silo is the Wool series by Hugh Howey. That does not give me any more info. Post apocalyptic sci fi. Recommend, that's okay. Folks like the first book more than the later ones, but I love them all. I'm currently rewatching Elementary and having grand old time. So many series I want to continue. Same with book series. Yeah, definitely. Wool, Shift, and Dust were the books. Okay. I love Elementary. It's so funny. See, for me, that is just like the problem with me and detective stories. I don't care. So I looked it up. It was the girl from tomorrow. That one I don't know. I couldn't remember Elma's name and definitely fancied her. What does that say about my memory? I mean, I think for a lot of things with memory, it's just like how much importance you place on it. But on the other hand, there are many things that I wish that I put more importance on. If that is the case, that I'm like, wait, why can I not remember this? How little attention do I pay, for example, on holidays? Because when my friends and me who I've been on holiday with like reminisce about the holiday, they bring up these things and I'm like, what? I don't remember anything about that. Was I even on that same holiday? I don't have a partner, so that makes it easy. But I don't forget my cat's names neither, so that's already a good sign. Now I have Ally McBeal on my head. I had to search my head for that title. I never really watched Ally McBeal, I found it to be silly, with those like cartoonish sort of animations in it. It had that right, like with like eyes bulging and stuff like that, or did I fully make that up? Um but also just like the topic of it didn't really interest me all that much. But potentially if I would have just like watched even one full episode of it, I would have could have gotten into it, but I never really gave it enough of a chance, I guess. um I'm trying to think about like what I watched around that time. What is around that time? Like Seventh Heaven was definitely around that time, but I also like only occasionally watch snippets of that. And I guess Fresh Prince of Bel Air was on at that time. What is this other thing that's it got a remake recently, which had like the Olsen twins in it. That one was on around that time, but I didn't really watch any of those a lot. I don't really care about the mystery, but the characters are really fun to watch. Yeah, that is usually what I have with these types of TV shows is that sure I like the characters and the dynamics between them, but you still need to kind of care about like what they're talking about in order to get through an episode, or at least I need to. It is said that we experience time progressing faster as we grow older because we're creating less memories. Okay, makes sense then. I loved Ally McBeal. Rewatched it years later and did not like it anymore. Oh no. I'm currently watching Chernobyl and The Last of Us. I have 2 episodes left and I'm not emotionally ready for it, so I have been putting it off. I've not watched The Last of Us, but Chernobyl was really, really good. I found it like to some extent a horrible experience to watch it. But that's the point, of course. Cartoon babies were on Ally McBeal in I'm trying to figure out this acronym, but I guess it's just a confirmation. There were a lot of lawyer shows, lawyer shows on the go back then. Yeah, I don't like any type of procedural, so not a police show, not a hospital show, a lawyer show, detective. Though I do like ER, but I never watched it back when it was running. I started watching it like 2 3 years back, but even then, like I watched, I don't know, maybe 3 seasons, maybe even four, and then I just grew tired of it and stopped altogether. Progress just means bad things happening faster. Cheerful. Those are on my want to watch lists, yes. The Good Wife was one of my most recent lawyer shows that I remember very favorably. I highly recommend them, yeah. I watched a lot of TV back in the day. Yeah, me too. But I want to read all of the books currently, so I've been putting TV shows on the back burner, hence falling behind on so many shows. Yeah, I definitely used to be more of like a movie and TV show person. I was also a reader, but I was just reading a whole lot less in a year than I'm doing now. And so I want to get back to more movies, but not necessarily more TV. Chernobyl was a great and terrible experience because you know how it ends. Yeah, definitely. And it's just like you know some of the facts, but like even though it's not fully accurate, it's not fully true to life neither. But like some of these things definitely were like, what? I it's like seeing a visual with it just made it so much more impactful, I guess, to some extent. The Last of Us is set on my DVR along with House of the Dragons and Rings of Power. One day I will try it. I got back to Fear the Walking Dead from 2018 recently. Stuff sits around on my DVR. I mean, I don't know where I stopped for The Walking Dead. And then I tried to rewatch it at some point, and then I got stuck in season 2, I think. So I don't know whether it will ever happen. I really like The Good Doctor, but the original K drama is even better. I bought a book after I considered that book Midnight in Chernobyl, but then I was on my book buying ban, so I didn't buy it. And now some of that fascination has kind of dwindled. Plus, Midnight in Chernobyl is a really big book, so maybe one day, but not yet. So. Um, we are close to our final sprint. I, in case you hadn't noticed yet, have been struggling with my throat for the last 2-3 minutes. So I'll be very happy to drink something. But yeah, we're gonna go into our final sprint. So make the most of it or don't. Just make sure that you have a good time during the last one, and then we'll have a little bit of a chatty bits at the end. So see you in 40. And we made it again, guys. Another 2 full hours of reading done. I I've already forgotten now, but somewhere around 84% or so in. So I might still read a little bit afterwards as well because I didn't do the full sprints every single time. Right during our last chatty bit, one of my friends was asking for something to do on Sunday, so I looked into that a little bit as well. So I haven't read it, so I've lost momentum too about the Midnights in Chernobyl book. Surfing starships coming up. Hello, Denise. Oh, jumped. Final computer update. The OS update I initiated at 3 p.m. finished at 8:30 p.m. Wow, I mean, our updates at work are really never that long. I am fortunate that I work from home 100% of the time, but can you imagine turning your laptop off at the end of the day and seeing that update starting? Yeah. Majorly decluttering my Goodreads TBR. Yeah, that's also fun. 2 full hours of reading in which I barely read any pages. I'm so bad at this, so I'm definitely going longer after this. I mean, they are reading sprints, but you can definitely do whatever type of activity you want to. I started How to Sell a Haunted House and read 17 pages. You've been kind of shifting around, right? Because previously you said you read The Last Quentista. I think in the beginning you said you were probably gonna read The Blade itself, and now you've read How to Sell a Haunted House. Are you like just not finding one that you're enjoying, or you're just reading a whole ton at the same time? Moved on to chapter 6, which is about angels in fantasy and the way Christian theology is integrated in the genre. 10 pages, 45 left. Slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. I read 40-ish pages and I'm 25 pages away from my goal, so I will be continuing after this. I came back into the sprint and saw there were still 4 minutes ago. Then I thought you'd fallen asleep until you lifted your head back up. I was really close. At some points, I think 8 minutes away from finishing the sprint, I was like, oh, can I just like close my eyes for a little bit? And then I was just like, no, because what if you don't wake up from the sound? It would surprise me if I wouldn't wake up from the noise of the sort of like alarm, but you never know. I would be mortified. You would never see my face again on sprints. Engage an exorcist as agent. Wait, sorry, about what is this? About how to sell a haunted house. Somehow I caught up in doing graphics for my blog instead of reading. That's also nice. Uh, Getting some productivity done as well. I actually wonder what my next book is that I'm going to be reading for the Booker International. If I finish this one, I'm going into Pyre by Perumal Murugan, which is an Indian novel, and I've forgotten everything about it. I think I babble away on here in the chat, then detach my iPad from the keyboard to check the Twitters, then check my PC situation, and finally back to the book with 10 minutes left to go. This is basically my morning issue. In the morning, my alarm clock goes off, I snooze it for a little bit, then I'm like, okay, enough snoozing, turn the light on. Then I'm like, let me just quickly check Twitter, and then I'll wake up, and then I'll start like War and Peace before going to work. But then that quick Twitter check always ends up taking me way too long, to the point where I'm like, actually, let's forget about War and Peace and let's just like directly get out of bed, get dressed, feed the cats, and leave for the train. Not for the train, for the bus. So I understand this issue. Don't drop my book. That would be hilarious. We'd we'd have all been shouting in the chat, "Wake up, we're here!" We would have had a memorable sprint event. I wonder how many sprinters have fallen asleep live on YouTube. I think it's probably everybody's like nightmare that happening. so you never get to peace and there's still only war every morning. Yeah, I guess so. I'm also in the war section of War and Peace, so even if I were to read it, it would still be in the war section. No idea yet of how to sell a haunted house. Is this the Oliver Blake book? No, right? Because Oliver Blake, or is it? Because I didn't think it was out yet. Could be mistaken, of course. How to sell a haunted house. How to sell. No, Grady Hendrix. Okay. Because Oliver Blake is also coming out with a book that's like a haunted house, a what was it? Like yeah, I've forgotten. It sounded really funny, but I've already forgotten. It was something with a haunted house, and then like the real estate agent was also like maybe a vampire or something like that. I was yakking with Matt on Books on his Discord channel about my yawning my head off by 9 p.m. By Grady Hendrix, yes, just saw it. Then I often go to bed, but by the time I've sorted everything out, I'm wide awake again. So I then read in bed until I cannot keep my eyes open, which means I fall asleep almost instantly. Yeah, I don't even think I read. Like I used to always read in bed. I used to need to read in bed in order to be able to fall asleep. Now I don't even need that step anymore. If I just if I go to bed, I can like almost instantly fall asleep. And if I try to read in bed, it just doesn't work. I just almost immediately fall asleep. There are in fact court cases where people claimed a house they bought was haunted. Are they all in the US, these court cases? Madame Books was expressing surprise at my going to bed so early. He sounds like he goes longer into the night. I think a lot of people go to bed actually quite early, but there are always these people who manage to have this completely different timetable. It's not what I want to say, but like biological rhythm. Is that what I want to say? No, also not right. The brain is just like sending me a beep signal at this point in time. I did most of my reading in bed at night. I still do, though I do more in the evenings because of folks like yourself. Yeah, like I used to do almost all of my reading in bed, but now, as I said, like if I read in bed, I almost immediately fall asleep. Which reminds me, I should actually, but I was listening to a podcast in bed yesterday evening, which was a Spanish podcast, and they were talking about Banshees of Inisherin. And I should get back to that, but I feel I feel like I want to do it while in bed because it sounds like such a comfy situation. But then again, I think I listened to like 5 minutes and then I was like, okay, I need to turn this off because I'm gonna fall asleep. So it'll be exactly the same thing if I listen to it in bed again tonight somewhere in the US, but not only. Okay. I heard very mixed opinion on this book, so curious what I'll think about it. You just started? I don't stay up as late as I used to, though. Just cannot do it. I remember times when I'd stay up late and get up by lunchtime. Never ever happens anymore. Definitely not for me. Um, I definitely was able to stay up longer, and I was also there. Definitely also were instances where I went way into the nights just to finish a book and things like that, which I definitely cannot do anymore at this point in time. But never until the next day. But England took its witchcraft paragraphs out of the law in 1951, so this stuff can happen everywhere. Okay. Podcasts. That's the correct pronunciation. In bed is not a good idea for me because I fall asleep and lose my place. I cannot. Podcasts. Podcasts? Whatever. In the morning only for me. Yes, I just started it, so really hope I like it. I hope so as well for you. This book fluency has been close to keeping me up late, actually. Nice. It happens very occasionally. I don't remember what, but like definitely something last year was also something that was like making me stay awake late. Neutral thoughts so far. Podcasts. Lol, I know. Podcasts. I think I had it correct now. Podcasts. podcasts. It sounds weirder the more I repeat it, which is also normal because I sound weird now. But with that, we are done for the evening. Thank you guys so much for being here and spending these last 3 hours together with me. And, hope to see you guys back next week. If not, there's always the week after and the week after and the week after. But so, yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evenings and the rest of your week and see you guys next week. Bye.